Hello friends, it's Kristie Marcotte. Today I'm sharing the cards I made using Spellbinders February 2022 Card Kit of the Month. The theme is Always Remember. And for a few of the cards, I'll also be using the February Embossing Folder of the month. If you are interested in any of the products I use in this video, I do have links provided in the description box below. Let's go ahead and get started with card design number 1. I'm using this beautiful pink pattern paper for the background. It looks like watercolor stripes. There's a little bit of orange mixed in there as well. Layering it on some pink pearlescent cardstock, and this is cardstock from my stash. The kit does include several sheets of colored cardstock, but I always bring in additional cardstock since I love lots of layers on my cards. Next, I'll be adding one of the frames. This is a little chipboard frame. They do have adhesive on the back, but I always like to add some liquid adhesive as well, just to make sure everything stays together. Then I'll use a few of the die cut pieces. I have a vase full of beautiful flowers. The sentiment, always remember. And all of these pieces have a little bit of gold foil finish, so it's really pretty. I did add some thin foam dimension on the back of the flowers and also the sentiment. Then I'll add one more ephemera piece, this lovely pink butterfly. I put some foam dimension just on the outside portion of the wings and then glued down the body. Then to finish off the card, I'll add a few of the sequins that are included in the kit. I'll put 2 in the lower left-hand corner and 1 to the right of the sentiment. These are a beautiful color sequin. They're clear, but they have an iridescent finish, so they go with everything. And there is my finished card. I did make 2 using this design. For the second card, I just have a different color oval frame. For card design number 2, I'm using a card sketch for inspiration. This is Sugar Pea Designs Sugar Sketch number 9. And if you are interested in any of the card sketches, I share all of that information on my coordinating blog post. That link is provided in the description box below, or you can simply head over to KristieMarcotte.com. For the second card, I have this beautiful pink geometric pattern paper for the background. I added a thin strip of the pink watercolor paper from the first card, and then also some pretty floral paper. For the banner that goes across the card, I'm using that same pink pearlescent cardstock. To adhere the banner, I'm using some of the double-sided tape that's included in the kit. I love that Spellbinders card kits include adhesive and also 10 card bases. Now, I don't use their card bases for the actual card base. Instead, I'll use that white cardstock for either the background of the card or for a sentiment. So that's what I used for this sentiment. And I've already stamped it out. I used the sentiment, the clouds will clear and the sun will shine. Then I also have a couple of the little branches that are included in the kit. Before adhering this oval in place, I did put some scrap cardstock pieces above and below where that pink banner strip is. And that will just help keep everything at the same level. Then to finish up the card, I'm adding a gold die cut piece, and I did pop that up using a thin foam square, and I'll add 2 of the sequins in the upper left-hand corner. So there is my finished card, and I did make 2 using this design. It's so easy to make multiples using Spellbinder kits since there's 2 each of all the pattern paper sheets and also 2 of each of the die cut pieces. For card design number 3, I'm using a card sketch from the Paper Players. This is number 193. The background paper is so pretty. There's lots of little birds and branches and some teeny tiny little gold foil polka dots. I'm adding a strip of a green tone-on-tone pattern on the left, and then I also have a pattern paper. It's white and it has gold foil in the little script. You won't really be able to read it, but you'll be able to see that lovely gold foil. I layered everything on some peach colored cardstock, and then I'll layer that piece on one of the card base panels, this time showing some of that linen finish along the outside. For the die cut pieces, I have a book that has the sentiment Cherished Memories, and then I also have 2 of the gold foil branches, and I'm adhering them to the inside portion of the book. Then I'll add some foam dimension on the back of this piece to pop it up and adhere it in place where that circle is on the sketch. So instead I'll have this little book ephemera with the branches coming out the top. For this sentiment on the card, I'll be using one of the sentiment dies that's included in the kit. There's several different words. I'll be using the word hello, and I cut this out from the gold foil cardstock that's included in the kit. Put some liquid adhesive on the back and adhere it in the lower right-hand corner. Then one final finishing touch, I'm adding a few gold mix gem stickers. These are not included in the kit, but they are made by Spellbinders. So there is my finished card, and I did make 2 using this design. This card has lots of lovely gold shine with the foil finish and also the gem stickers. For card design number 4, the card sketch is from Sugar Pea Designs. It's Sugar Sketch number 8. For the background, I have this fun rainbow raindrop paper, and some of those raindrops have that gold finish. Layering it on some blue cardstock, put my card front onto a card base. For that smaller rectangle, I'm using a pattern paper that has very faint looking clouds in the background. I did round the left 2 corners. Then I'll layer this piece on that same blue cardstock. And I believe this is cardstock from my stash, not cardstock that's included in the kit. All of my cards in this video are American Standard A2 size, so 4 1/4 inches by 5 1/2 inches. For that large banner, I decided to use some of the gold cardstock that's included in the kit. Cut a fishtail on the left side. I will be adding some scrap cardstock pieces on the very right and left where it goes over that cloud paper. Then I'll put some double-sided tape on the back side. Since this cardstock does have that mirror finish, I want to make sure it stays in place. And I find that double-sided tape works really nicely. Then I'll add a couple of the die cut pieces. I have a beautiful rainbow with the sentiment hope, light, faith, kindness, hugs, strength. I also have a blue bow, and this matches that background blue cardstock. And to finish off the card, I'll add some more of the sequins. Put 2 in the upper left-hand corner and 1 underneath the images. I am using an embellishment wand to pick up the sequins. Since there isn't adhesive on the back, you'll need to add some liquid adhesive, or you could use small glue dots. Then I'll also add a little bit of sparkle to the rainbow using a clear glitter brush, and this is made by scrapbook.com. I'm not a big glitter fan, especially if it's loose glitter, but I do really like this glitter brush since it adds that little bit of sparkle without all the mess. So there's my finished card, and I did make 2 using this design. For card design number 5, the card sketch is from Sketch Saturday. This is number 500. One of the pattern papers has all these beautiful florals in the lower left-hand corner. So I trimmed that down so I could focus on those lovely flowers. I'm also using a teal wood grain pattern paper. And then for the very background, I'm using one of the white card bases with the linen side showing. Layer everything on a dark teal cardstock. And I did decide to cut a fishtail at the bottom of that wood grain pattern paper. I have one other pattern paper. It's white or like a very light blue, and it has an outline of flowers all over it. So I'm using that for the diagonal strip that goes in the background. You'll only see a little bit of that pattern paper, but it still adds a lovely detail. I'm adding a couple of gold peel-offs. These are made by Love from Lizi, putting it along the edge of that floral paper in the background. Since the center of the card will be covered up with other pieces, I don't need to use a full peel off all the way across the background. So I'll layer this panel on the dark teal cardstock, put my card front onto a card base. Then I can add that wood grain panel, and I am following this sketch fairly closely. And next I can add that floral rectangle. I will put a scrap piece of cardstock just on the very left side. I'll put liquid adhesive on the back and adhere this piece in place. Generally for my cardstock layers, I add an additional 1/8 of an inch to the measurements listed on the sketch. So those measurements on the sketch are for the pattern paper. For the sentiment, I'll be using some of the dies that are included in the kit. There's several different words, so you can create different sentiments. For my card, I'll be adding "You are perfect." And I cut out all of these words using the gold cardstock that's included in the kit. I'll put liquid adhesive on the back of the sentiment and glue those in place. And I love Barely Art liquid glue. It holds beautifully. So once I have all of those straight, I decided to add one of the die cut pieces. So it's a similar looking pink flower. It's larger than that background pattern paper, but I think it works nicely. I did put some foam dimension on the back side. And then I'll also add a teal heart die cut piece. And I did pop up that as well. Then for that little bit of glitter, I'm using the glitter brush and adding it to the pink flower. So there is my finished card, and I did make 2 using this design. For card design number 6, I have this fun rainbow background paper, and it's hard to see in the video, but there are some teeny tiny little hearts underneath each of the rainbows. I also have some scraps from previous cards, one with the gold sentiment and then also the really faint cloud paper. I'm adding some of the gold peel-offs along that sentiment strip, and I'll be layering everything on some dark teal cardstock. I have this sheet of gold peel-offs with lots of teeny little pieces. It was really nice to be able to use up some of those scrap pieces. I'll put some ATG tape on the back of this piece and layer it on that dark teal cardstock. Put my card front onto a card base. Then I can add that cloud strip on the very right side of the card. This is where I'll be covering up those little gap areas where I didn't have the peel-offs going all the way across. Next, I'll add several of the die cut pieces. I have 2 clouds, one in a bluish gray, the other is an off-white color or a light gray. And then I also have the person with the umbrella, so you can't actually see their head. And I did pop up all of those pieces using some foam dimension. I'll also add one of the chipboard stickers in the upper left-hand corner. It's a banner, it has the sentiment "Hang in there." Thought that was appropriate with someone holding umbrella with a rainy day. Fall and winter in Western Washington have been so rainy, so lots of umbrellas out there. Although mine is bright and cheerful and pink. I don't have a blue umbrella. I decided to use a white gel pen and add just a little detail along the clouds and also the umbrella. So there is my finished card, and I did make 2 using this design. Now for card design number 7, I'll be using the February embossing folder. So this is a separate club you can join. I love the large size of the embossing folder, so you could use it for pretty much any size card. I used some of the green cardstock that's included in the card kit, ran it through my die cut machine, and I'm using the debossed side of this paper. I did add some gold splatter to the background just for some extra detail. On the bottom portion of the card, I'm using some more of that white pattern paper that has the gold script all across it, and I'm layering both of these pieces on some of the gold mirror cardstock. Putting lots of adhesive on this embossed piece just to make sure it stays in place. So I have some ATG tape and also some of the double-sided tape. I'll put my card front onto a card base. Then I decided to use a Love from Lizi peel off and put it between the cardstock and the pattern paper. This is the straight style in the gold moon dust color. I'll use a craft knife to trim that off. Next, I'll bring in several of the die cut pieces. I love this globe and it has this beautiful pink flower at the bottom. I also have a leafy branch, the sentiment hugs, and the yellow envelope with the pink heart. I've already added some foam dimension on the back side of the die cut pieces, and I have two different thicknesses of the foam dimension. For the branch, I glued down the bottom portion and it's tucked underneath the hug sentiment. And then for the yellow envelope, I used a thinner foam dimension and I tucked it underneath the sentiment as well. Then to finish up the card, I'll add some more of the gold mix gem stickers. So there is my finished card. This is one of my favorites. I love that embossing folder. That'll be great all year round. For card design number 8, I'm using some of the dies that are included in the kit. It has this beautiful leafy wreath, so you'll need two different pieces to assemble it together to create that wreath. And then it also has lots of these teeny tiny little flowers. Overall, this is a very simple card design. I really wanted to focus on this beautiful die set that's included in the kit. For the pattern paper, I used some tone-on-tone pattern. Has almost a floral look in the background, maybe some little branches. I layered it on some blue cardstock, put my card front onto a card base, leaving just that 1/8 of an inch of the white card base showing. For the wreath portion, I used some white shimmer cardstock just for that little extra shine. So I'll glue both of those pieces together. You can see how it now has created this oval shaped wreath. Now I can add all of the tiny little flowers, and I decided to use that same blue cardstock that I used for the background layer. And it's hard to see, but those teeny tiny little pieces are the centers of the flower. And I used some of the gold mirror cardstock that's included in the kit. Now you could use some glitter drops or some little gems if you don't want to cut out those tiny pieces for the centers, but I decided to just use the gold cardstock since it's already in the kit. To glue those in place, I am using my embellishment wand since those pieces are so tiny. Now some of the flowers, the glue hadn't adhered completely, so they did keep lifting up, especially since I had a little bit of glue on my finger. But once the glue dries, everything is staying in place. For the sentiment, I'm using one of the dies from the kit. Decided to go with another hello. I love using general sentiments, so hello is one of my favorites. And I'll also add one of the butterfly die cut pieces. I chose one in the same light blue color and it has some gold foil spots. So there is my finished card, and I did make 2 using this design. For card design number 9, I'll be using the February embossing folder again. So this time I selected 3 different cardstock colors that are included in the kit, cut them into random strips. I'm putting some adhesive on the back of this white cardstock panel. Then I'll add all of those cardstock strips. And I did cut them just a little bit wider than the white panel. So I want to make sure they're completely together, but I don't want them overlapping at all either. Now I can flip over that panel and trim down the extra. So now I'll take that stripe panel, run it through my die cut machine using the embossing folder. So I have this beautiful embossed design. Next, I'm adding some paint splatter in gold and also in white. So there it is, mostly dry. Unfortunately, it wasn't completely dry. Put some adhesive on the back of this panel, and that's where I found some of the gold paint now on my craft mat, so I will need to wipe that off. I'll put this panel on an A2 size card base. Then I'll add a few of the die cut pieces. This beautiful, a pinkish purple butterfly. There's a pink flower and the sentiment, thinking of you. I did pop up the butterfly and also the sentiment using some thin foam squares. So overall, this is a very simple card design, but it has all that extra detail with the embossing folder and that paint splatter background. For embellishments, I'm using a brand new color by Spellbinders. This is their Prism AB color. It's so pretty. Put 2 of them in the upper left-hand corner, 1 underneath the sentiment, and then I'm also adding some sparkle to that pink flower. So there is my finished card. It's kind of interesting. I did the second card upside down with the order of the stripes, but I think they both turned out beautiful. For my final card design, I'm using some grayish green pattern paper for the background that looks like watercolor stripes. Thought that was really pretty. I'm adding some Love from Lizi peel-offs. These are the clear silver mirror color in the pinstripe style. I put the widest width and also the medium width across the card. I'll add this panel on some green cardstock, and then I'll be stamping the sentiment. You can text me anytime. I'm using Honeybee Stamps Intense Black ink. This is my favorite black ink. Then I'll put my card front onto a card base, leaving that 1/8 of an inch of the white card base showing. Then I'll be adding several of the die cut pieces. There's lots of these beautiful watercolor flowers and branches, so I selected 3 of the flowers and 2 of the branches. I'm gluing down the branches using some liquid adhesive, but for each of the flowers I have a different thickness of foam dimension. So starting with the thinnest foam with that light peach color, and then the darker peach or pink color flowers a little bit thicker, and then that final light grayish green flower. I used the foam dimension that's included in the kit. I'm tucking all of those flowers together in this beautiful little bouquet. Then to finish up the card, I'll add some of the silver mixed gem stickers, 2 in the lower right hand corner, 1 underneath the sentiment, and then I'm also using the glitter brush on each of the flowers. You can never have too much sparkle, and I think it looks so pretty on the flower die cut pieces. So there is my finished card. This is another favorite of mine, but do let me know which card is your favorite. I love the pop of color from that green and also that peachish pink flower. Now here's another look at the 20 cards I made using Spellbinders February 2022 Card and also Embossing Folder Club Kit of the Month. If you are interested in subscribing, I do have links provided in the description box below. If you want to receive the February clubs, you must sign up by February 24th. These are monthly kits, so quantities are always limited. The only way to guarantee receiving a kit is to sign up and subscribe. And Spellbinders has lots of other club kits. If you love stamps and dies, they have several options of those as well. I also have their large die of the month, and it's so fun. So hopefully I will have that video up very soon. And if Spellbinders does have any extra kits from a previous month, they will sell those individually. And I will have a link in the description box if you want to check those out. Thank you so much for watching, and I hope you have a wonderful day.